Charles Williams is a legend on the football field, a teacher, a mentor and guide to many. He is the epitome of a friend, husband, father, and servant of God. Charles Williams is a living legend amongst his peers. Today we celebrate not only 60 years of amazing living, but 30 years of amazing service to many in this community and in our nation. Charles Williams was born on February the 9th, 1956 to Dorotha and Clarence Williams at the Brewster Hospital in Jacksonville, Florida. He has one sister, Beverly Williams, and four other brothers, Clarence, Willie, Anthony, and Michael Williams. As a child, Charles Williams went to elementary school at S.P. Livingston, George Washington Carver, Carter G. Woodson, and found a love for sports. He attributes his many coaches who helped develop him and give him a love for basketball, baseball, and football. For junior high school, he attended Northwestern, and then he attended William Marion Rains, where he continued the legend of being a great student and greater athlete.
Charlie Horse was an unusual player. He was good in stature, he had good size, he had good strength. He had all of the tools necessary to be an outstanding player, which is what he did. One thing he was known for, he would hit you. Charlie Horse would hit you. He was fast, he was big, he was very aggressive, and he didn't mind mixing it up.
Clark Kent, Superman, is the best way to describe him. On the field, he was Superman. In the hallways and in classrooms, he was a perfect gentleman. You wouldn't believe it was the same person. I can recall Florida's defensive coordinator came down, and Coach Johnson had me to go to Charlie's class to find him. And when he saw him, he was amazed. He said, "He looked this little muscular but kind of chubby kid. He doesn't look like he plays." I said, "No, he doesn't act like he plays. He was a force. He's a force to reckon with. He made everybody around him better. If you didn't go to a play full speed, Charlie was going to knock you, the ball carrier, and everybody else back. So everybody in front of him went full speed to get out of his way."
And then he was a student of the game. He learned the game. He loved the game. And he played it with enthusiasm. He was an outstanding athlete. Probably, if not the best, I know among the best that we've ever had, and that we've ever coached in the Range tradition.
59 seconds to go in the third quarter. The handoff is to Kevin McLee, and he is decked at the 15-yard line. Number 53, Charlie Williams, the linebacker, got him. Second down, 7 yards to go as they back him up to the 19-yard line. Goff keeps it, gets around the corner. Number 53 runs him down for Florida, Charlie Williams.
Well, he was the same as his Grace. He just had that instinct in him. Everything he did, he tried to do it to the best of his ability. On the field, off the field, in class, whatever. He was always looked up to and admired by his peers, the adults, and everyone in our community.
We went to several games down there, and I said to them in a meeting one time, after a game that was over, and they were meeting with Don and Charlie and all those guys, I said he will be an impact player. He will make everybody around him better. A couple of years later, it was echoed back to me. You were right. He makes everybody better. He was one of those players that you run into once in a lifetime.
Charles attended and played for the University of Florida and received a Bachelor's of Arts in Special Education. He received his Education Specialist degree, which is a degree higher than a master's and right under a doctorate. Football and education were the only things that he found while attending college in Gainesville. That's where he met Wayner Williams.
We met at the University of Florida my first summer at the University of Florida, actually. I was at the bookstore, the Hub as it's called in Gainesville, and I was with some friends, only about 3 or 4 days on campus, and they knew him. we were walking at the hub and outside, and they said, oh, they turned around and said, Charlie Horse. And I turned around too. I didn't know who he was. They walked up to him and they were greeting him and everything. And I looked at him and I was like, I said to myself, who is that? And they introduced us. Of course, I was all nice and polished with him and everything. And he said, asked me how I was doing. And I'll never forget, he asked me, he said, you're just on campus new? He had been there a year. And I said, yes, just got here 3 or 4 days. He said, hey, I got cups and plates in my dorm room I can give you. It might help you out. And I said, thank you, I would appreciate it. So we went to his dorm room. He gave me cups and plates, and that's how we met.
While attending UF, he played in 3 bowl games: the Sugar Bowl in 1974, the Gator Bowl in 1975, and the Sun Bowl in 1976.
I didn't know anything about football, and he told me he was on defense and where he would be and what his number was. So when I found him, I told him that, he's so intense before the ball is snapped. He would have his arms and he would have his hands and he would be moving them like that. And then he was just aggressive. He just went after people so aggressive. And I told him about that. I asked him, did he even realize that he did that? And he said, no, he didn't. But he was very aggressive is all I can say.
After college, in April of 1978, the Mighty Horse was drafted by Chuck Fairbanks and the New England Patriots. After years of playing on the gridiron, Charles Williams had plenty of notable accomplishments and awards. All SEC linebacker, captain of the 1977 Gator football team, ranked as one of the top 4 tacklers at the University of Florida. Everything slowed down for Charles, so he proposed to Wayner, his college sweetheart, in December of 1982, and the two were married in June of 1983.
Oh, our wedding day. That was a very interesting day. It was very fun. We had about 9 or 10 bridesmaids in our and groomsmen in our wedding, and it was just, I think it was a bit surreal. I got all dressed in my dress, of course, and it was just me and my mom right there waiting for us. And the gentleman who was taking my mom out, he says, now keep in mind they're really good friends, okay? So this is Ivory Curry, and he says, hey, Wayner, you don't have to marry Charlie if you don't want to. You got one more chance to say no. I'm like, no, I think he's a pretty good guy. I'm gonna go for it. He says, okay, well, I'm gonna take your mom out. And he took my mom out, and just before she left, she said, and I didn't realize it, but she pronounced a blessing over our marriage. She said, you're going to have to talk in marriage, so it's a give and take. He's not going to be able to read your mind, so you're going to have to talk to him and tell him what you're thinking. He's a good man, and you need to really treat him like he's a good man. And I will never, ever, ever forget that. So she said, God will bless your marriage and honor that, and I think he did. So on our wedding day, the one thing that I remember is walking down the aisle and saying our vows and the song. But for the kiss, I didn't want him to grab me so tight that he wouldn't let me go, because I knew he would. So I kissed him real quick and pulled back, and he was like, dang. Charles, the husband, is kind. He's nice, he's gentle, he's very predictable. He has a nice schedule and he sticks to it. He's loving.
Man, I remember Brother Charles starting campus ministry together, and that was the first time we had met. And I've been at his hip ever since, and serving him and being mentored by him, and had a chance to introduce him to Kristen later on. And man, they've just been, he and his wife have just been like parents to us, and they've mentored us. They've really showed us how to live life as a married couple, and
yes, giving us a lot of practical tools. Helped us with our budgeting. Yeah,
just shared life with us. They opened up their home to us, their lives themselves, and they've been, man, the 2 most impactful people in our marriage.
Definitely. Second
to none.
Charles and Wayner had 2 beautiful children, Marjorie and Julian Williams.
Charles the father is, I would say, loving. He loves his kids, and he really stands for his kids. There's no question about that. One of the things that people always said was, he's so big and he's so rough, They asked me, well, does he spank the kids, or does he? Not one time ever has he ever spanked the kids, ever.
Charles the father to me is someone who is close enough to where if you need him, he will be right there so that you can reach out to him, but far enough away so that you can grow.
Charles the father to me in my life has always been an example. He taught me how to listen to people, but he also taught me how to stand my ground. He taught me how to respect people. He taught me how to be a good listener. And most importantly, he taught me how to be a man after God's own heart.
But I have to tell you this, that it started off with Margie as being probably about 4 months old, and he was supposed to be watching the baby. We ended up watching a lot of ESPN throughout the entire time we've been married here. At one point in time, I thought our television only got one station, and that was ESPN. So he was watching the baby, and at the time we had a house that had a family room and a kitchen and a dining room and a bedroom. So I said, Charles, watch the baby. She could crawl at that point in time. He said, okay. So I walked through all the rooms. I was in the bedroom, and all of a sudden, Margie, I see, she comes crawling into the bedroom. Well, she's past the family room, the dining room, the kitchen, and the living room, and she's now walking in the bedroom. I'm like, but I thought my husband was watching the baby. So I pick her up in my arms. I put her in my arms. And I said, honey, where's the baby? And I peep out there, and he's on his hands and knees. Margie, come to daddy. Margie, come to daddy. And I walk out there, and I've got the baby in my hands, and we laughed. And it reminded me of Kevin Hart saying, daddies don't watch babies. You better be careful. So that's my whole thing. He loves his kids, but sometimes he didn't watch the baby so good.
Daddy!
Man, yeah, Brother Charles for me, he means a father in a way. Yeah, and I've never said that to anybody else, but that's the first word that came to my mind. So we're like their kids they never had, and we ironically have the same last name. So that's what he's been, role model, example, yeah.
Charles' loves include barbecue, golf, and golf, and his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ.
Charles the Christian is dedicated. He loves God. I remember we've seen him as a family. He's modeled reading the Bible, reading the Word, and really living by that. He has read the Bible through 2 or 3 times, completely through over the course of the years.
Charles, the man of God to me, is unique. One year, I once saw my dad read the entire Bible, like at least something a day. So that I know that took a lot of diligence. I know that took a lot of patience. But ultimately, Charles, the man of God to me, is once again an example of how to be a Christian in this world, an example of how to be respectful, an example of how to be loving and caring, and even an example of the kind of God-fearing man to where you may not necessarily agree with another person's opinion, but you respect their opinion. That's what kind of Christian my dad is to me.
He gets up in the morning, 5 o'clock or so, and he has this thing he calls running to Jesus. So when he gets up in the morning, he goes over to his office and he starts to read. And a lot of times he'll come out and he said, hey, you need to read Psalm 78, or you need to read this because it's really good. And the Bible is like a story, especially in the Old Testament. It's really good. Boy, God really does stuff. So he has really modeled that in our home.
Funny story, the first time I ever saw him, or heard him, I should say, run to Jesus, it was probably 5 o'clock in the morning. Everybody who knows my dad knows he wakes up at the crack of dawn. So it was probably 4 a.m. and I'm laying on the couch, half asleep, half awake, and all of a sudden I hear this stomping past me. I thought it was a herd of elephants. I didn't know what was going on, and it was him running from his bedroom to his office where he studies the Word of God. So later on that morning when I came to be fully awake, I asked him, I said, there must be some type of stampede this morning that I heard, because I don't know what was going on. And he said, no, that's just me running to Jesus. So him as a man of God, he really literally demonstrates his love for Christ, his hunger for Christ, and the fact that he wants his children to have that same hunger for God as he does.
Charles has had an amazing career spanning over 31 years in the Duval County school system, which included stints at Mattie V. Rutherford, Grand Park, Rains High School, Beulah Bill, the Potter's House Christian Academy, Joseph Stilwell, and Florida State College of Jacksonville.
So Charles, the teacher and guidance counselor, is very concerned. He works with a population of students who are, when they come to his school, they are at the point where they are not doing so well in traditional school for various reasons. And if they don't turn their life around, they may be headed down bad paths.
Charles the teacher, to me, it's weird. It's a balancing act. Of course, how much he teaches me has changed as I get older. But now, Charles the teacher to me is, he always makes these weird analogies just about life. But this analogy in particular, he sees himself, let's see if I can get this right, in the nosebleed section of a football field. And my life is the game. And he's the coach. And if I need some advice about what I should do next, he's always there. But if I don't want his advice about something, he'll be in the nosebleed section and just watch me play this out. That's Charles the teacher to me. Now, when I was younger, he was a lot more involved because he needed to develop me into a man. But now, as I'm older and out and about in school, he's pretty much that guy in the nosebleed section, if I get that right. My dad makes a lot of weird analogies, so that's the one I can think of when I think of my dad as a teacher.
I think he's just a real person.
Oh, yes.
And I think you have to be touched, is what he would say, to work with the group of kids that he works with. But I think that a lot of those children respect him, and that's because he's real with them. And so I hope that they're able to find somebody just as good as he was.
Yeah, he knows his audience, and he knows how to talk to his audience. Yeah, he got some crazy stories if you ever get him around the dinner table. But he knows his audience, and Brother Charles is a man's man.
Yeah.
And I think he walks with a certain, we would call it swagger, but they probably said something else back when he was in school. But he carries himself. He's a man's man, and so he's able to connect with kids, and they respect him greatly.
Through the years, Charles has met some wonderful people, which include his great friends Paul Everett, Litt Simmons, and Greg Coleman.
Hey, hello everybody. My name is Greg Coleman. I just want to share a couple of quick thoughts. Hoss, number one, congratulations on your retirement. Happy birthday, my friend. But a couple of quick stories, man. I know you've been a part of my life for a long time, even from Scott Park Range High School. You've been a part of it, man, especially since Coach Johnson and Coach Stevens gave you my defensive end job, gave me a bag of balls and told me to go kick up on the other field. Well, that was a catalyst of my 12-year career in the National Football League, and you've been a part of that. But the other thing, man, I want you to know, I know you've carried this burden, that I want you to know that the New Deal Jaguars never did beat Time Union. So I know you got hit in the head a few too many times. But on a serious note, Hoss, you've been a great friend over the years, man, and our friendship has lasted over decades. And I'm a better man for us having that friendship as brothers.
Charles is forever grateful for the men and women who helped him to develop into the man he is today. This includes Coach Hopper, Mr. Eugene White, Coach Grover, Coach Stevens, Dean Weatherby, Mr. Charles Mills, and Bishop Von McLaughlin. He is the Reigns Viking Senior Class President. But Bishop McLaughlin is a significant spiritual leader. He says to have grown up with Bishop and to see how God changed him into the man that he is today speaks to the sacrifice Bishop paid to be the spiritual leader you can see today. He thanks God for his obedience, and because of his obedience, Charles and his family are the better. Today we celebrate this great man who has influenced some wonderful and great people.
Well, I'm hoping he gets an opportunity to get some rest and not to have such a regimented schedule, even though he is a very schedule-driven person. But there are three things that I hope he really gets to do in retirement. And I think the first one is that he gets an opportunity to play golf. He loves golf, beautiful golf courses, and he loves the competition there. And the second one is I hope he gets the opportunity to play golf. Golf is one of his favorite sports, one of his favorite things, and he loves the competition. And I think the final thing is I hope he gets a chance to play a little golf.
So congratulations, Brother Charles. We love you. So
Yes.
happy that you are getting a chance to enjoy retirement.
Yeah, even though you left them kids halfway in school, yeah, that's okay. You gave them a lot of time, but congratulations, and I'm excited to see what the next 30 plus years look like, and I hope we get a chance to share it with you.
Daddy, I love you. I am so glad that you dedicated 31 years to the Duval County school system. I thank God that you are my dad and no one else's dad, because I don't know who else could put up with you like we do. We love you so much. Congratulations, and I'll see you at the retirement party. Peace.
The last thing I want to say to my dad is thank you for not only teaching me how to be an example of what a good man should be like in this world, a productive citizen, but thank you for not ever leaving me, or Margie, or my mom. Especially after I turned 18, I know a lot of fathers in general who say that when their child turns 18, that's it, they're on their own, they've done all that they can, and so on and so forth. But in my life, it seems like you impacted me even more when I left the house than when I was in the house. So thank you for that, and enjoy your retirement party, enjoy your retirement, and have a good night.
Well, honey, the retirement party is here. We're having a good time. I am so happy that the folks have come and decided to help share this opportunity with you. You've lived 60 years and you've worked 31 years in the school system. I think you've done a pretty doggone good job. I love you, and I hope you have a great time at this retirement party. I'm sure going to enjoy it and you. I love you.
Happy 60th birthday to Charles Williams, and congratulations on 30 years of service to this community. May God continue to bless you as you teach, mentor, guide, lead, and inspire others. Ladies and gentlemen, let's celebrate and salute this great man today, Mr. Charles Charlie Horse Williams.